Hello, this is Wendy James. I wanted to take a moment of your time and help teachers in regards to scheduling and resources for our targeted skills groups. I know that recently in third grade we have brought striving readers back to the content teacher. We also have some new teachers to our team, and I just wanted to be sure to show you some resources that we have used in the past and that we will use for the week of October the 15th, and you may continue to use those even after that. So I worked with one of our teachers, Miss Emily, and in front of us I have a copy of her schedule. So she's worked with her students' data. She has grouped them according for reading groups according to their oral words correct per minute, their oral reading fluency. And she has divided her groups into three groups. So her first group is striving readers, and those students were reading 0 to 20 words correct per minute at the beginning of the school year for the benchmark for DIBELS. And at the beginning of the year, teachers Greer, Godowns, and Schornhorst served all of third grade. But because of our new scheduling hours and targeted skills, it was proved that those teachers wouldn't be able to serve the entire grade level and serve their own content students. So that was the reasoning behind striving reader students coming back into the content teachers. Plus, the content teachers, when they work with their specific content students, the striving reader students, that is a very specific intervention, and then they'll be able to absolutely know where students are because they're giving the intervention, and then they'll also have time built into their schedule for progress monitoring. And I'll show you that in just a moment. Then also Emily looked at her next group of students based upon their oral reading fluency, and she grouped them in a good number of students for reading group 1. So that would probably be 21 to probably somewhere in the 50s. And then she grouped them reading group 2, and that would be 51 or so above. And you would have to look at your own group to know how many students you have in each group, and you would group them about 10 students per group. So you just have to determine how many you have, and that would be the range of students. So Emily has a spreadsheet, and I don't have it here in front of me, where she has each of her students that are on her content roster for ELA. She has, we call it a Mac Daddy spreadsheet, where she has the student name, first and last, and then they have the student ID number, and then their beginning of year DIBELS benchmark score. Then she also added her partner teacher, her math teacher, and when the math teacher was pulling students, those same students for math small group. And she did this so that she wouldn't double book a student for CC sessions. So that's a great way to ensure that you wouldn't do that. And then once she decided who and what students and what time and day of the week, then she added that to her Mac Daddy spreadsheet. And also I just want to make a quick note. Notice that she has built in progress monitoring sessions for all students that need that. And that's going to be determined by the DIBELS beginning of year. All those students that are in the intensive section, those red students coming from the DIBELS site, those students have to be progress monitored. Because we want to know, is the intervention, is it working? And how do we know? Well, we're going to monitor the progress, the oral reading fluency progress. And so I love how she's built that into her week. So let's talk about this reading group 1 and reading group 2, because the question was, well, I've grouped them according to data. Now, what am I going to do with them on this Monday and this Wednesday, either at 8 or 8:30? And so one day of the week, one thing that is very good to do with students is an interactive read aloud, where a teacher will model fluent reading, where a teacher will have very specific and targeted think alouds to monitor comprehension, and students will be able to visualize the story access text that they never would be able to access because of their reading level. She's bringing that to them through the read aloud, and then she will walk them through and help them respond to literature in the form of writing. And so I want to show you that. Third grade did this last school year, and even the year before. So we already have resources that are available in SharePoint. So I'm going to show you SharePoint. And it's actually in our third grade team site under ELA. And then go to the archive folder because it's something that we used in the past. And then go to the school year 17-18 folder. And then it's listed right here under 17-18 content, what I need, reading groups. And this is going to be your traditional reading group, aka guided reading. Think about brick and mortar and your reading teacher hat, all those things that you did in a great reading group. And this is what we used last year from Striving Readers. But if you could kind of scroll down, you'll see all the weeks of instruction that we have just available to you. So let's just pull from the week of 10-2. I think that's a pretty good week to start with. That's about where we are this time of the year. And you can see from last school year all these resources that are listed. Let's go to the interactive read aloud resource. You're going to want to pull the PowerPoint, and you'll know that that's what you need by the words interactive read aloud. And then everything to that date pertains to that resource. So you would pull the PowerPoint, you would pull the Think Aloud card, and you would pull the teacher guide. The teacher guide is going to be really a script that helps you to guide you into that lesson. And then don't change anything inside the SharePoint, but go to the three dots, right click, just like you do with your PowerPoints each week, and then download those. And then you can rename those whatever you want to name them. You can name them the day of the week, however you want to name it. I would keep the word interactive read aloud in there just to help you remember that's the focus of the lesson. But let me pull this up and kind of show it to you. Once again, you are welcome to change the background, anything you want to change. I would keep the core of it, like the agenda. And it is so neat how it just walks you through each of those comprehension strategies. It helps to determine genre. It tells you what to do before you read. Of course, you're going to preview the vocabulary. Then you're going to actually do the reading. And then there's a retell. And then the think and respond, etc. So let me show you this. So that's the PowerPoint. You might be saying, well, what am I reading? Good question. That's in the teacher guide. So let's pull that up. So as it's pulling up, you can see the last part of the naming convention is the title of the passage. This is Police Patrol. So that's going to be a nonfiction passage. And it tells you exactly what to do before you're reading, during your reading. And then notice here's the passage itself. It's nonfiction text. It definitely looks different than a fictional text. And look, this is the neat part about the interactive read aloud. Because you are intentionally modeling comprehension strategies that students have to develop to be able to comprehend passages, it tells you exactly where to stop and the script to use. You don't have to say every single word exactly like it is here, but I would definitely stay pretty true to the idea and the comprehension strategy. So this one correlates here. And then here's another one, number 2, and it correlates here. And the number 3 is right here. And so I have seen some teachers want to show the reading, the text, but what happens when you do that, and that's up to you and your group of students, that they are focusing more on the text than listening and being able to use that visualization technique. And so I suggest not to show the text, because this is an interactive read aloud. If you wanted to later, after you've done the interactive and in another session, let students read this to reread familiar text, you could do that. But notice that, like our students that are reading under 50 words a minute, there's many words in here they would never, ever be able to access this school year because there's such a gap between where they are and where they need to be. So that's kind of the purpose of a balanced literacy program, that interactive read aloud. It is very explicit instruction on comprehension. And then at the end, of course, there's those think and respond questions. You have a think aloud card that you could use, and that should be inside your PowerPoint resource, or you could add that if you wanted to. So that's just an example of the interactive read aloud. So that's something that you can do. Let me go back to our schedule. So one day of the week, you could pick Mondays or Wednesdays. It doesn't really matter to me. But just think about those times in your classes, especially in your brick and mortar when you read aloud to students, and how you were very intentional on the text and the vocabulary. That's exactly what you're doing here. And you're going to determine and find out kids love this, and that's something that they may have missed with their virtual learning. So let's look at the other day of the week. What will you do there? Well, that would be more your guided reading, reading groups. And one way, because you've grouped your students according to your words correct per minute, so now you want to choose text that is there in their instructional level. And one way to do that is to take their DIBELS, oral reading fluency, words correct per minute, and to convert it to a Lexile score. Because third graders, most third graders have not taken the Georgia milestones, therefore they don't have a Lexile score. So you can use their DIBELS oral reading fluency. So in the email that this recording is included in, I've included the conversion chart. So you'll need a copy of that. You could also Google it if you needed to. But be sure when you pull up the chart that you don't, it starts at grade 1, but we're in grade 3. So if you're in grade 1 or 2, you would make sure you looked at that page. But for this purpose today, this is grade 3. And let's say we had students that were reading like 21, let's say 21 to 51. And let's say that, or 53, or I think that's what we did earlier. Let's just say that we want to 21 to 43. I think that's what we did. And then we said, well, let's do something in the middle. So I said, well, let's look at 32. That's kind of in the middle because you don't want to go to the lowest students, but you don't want to teach just to the highest either. So we kind of went in the middle. And so that oral reading fluency is 32, so that converts to 67. Excuse me, 60. Lexile. The L stands for Lexile. And then you're going to take that Lexile score, and then you're going to go to ReadWorks. This is one resource you could use. You can use others that have Lexile scores. And then it's a free login. I've already logged in, but go ahead and sign up for this free account. And then you're going to want to go to Find Content. And I'm remembering 60 Lexile. And so I'm going to put a range here. So we're going to start at 0 since these are our lowest students. And then I'm going to give a max. And I'm going to put 100 in here. And so then it's going to pop up all the resources they have for that range. And as you can see here, it's got grade level, but I'm really looking towards this Lexile score here. So there's a 30, a 70. It tells you if it's the genre of text. This is all narrative, fiction. But I'm looking for the 60 range. And anything that's fiction, you kind of want to bump down a little bit with the Lexile. And as a student's Lexile score increases, you're going to have probably more choices to choose from. So we'll give it just a minute. All right, so it's one page